Hey guys, welcome back once again to my YouTube channel. My name is CORSET. Today's tutorial video is all about the making of this beautiful Milkmaid bustier crop top. If this looks like something you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel, keep on watching, and let's get started. Welcome back guys. So in my last video I shared with you guys how I drafted out these patterns. If you haven't watched that video, please use the card you are seeing on the screen right now to watch a video on how I drafted out all these patterns, which was my last video. Now I'm going to use all these pattern papers to cut on my fabric and as well my lining piece for this tutorial. This is what I had after I was done cutting them out, guys. I didn't cut anything for this because I'm only going to be using this to take measurements. You can see I added ½ inch to all the sides while I was cutting, and I cut both the actual fabric and the lining pieces. So for the front, I added ½ inch to this part. I did not add anything here because we already added the sewing allowance, and I added ½ inch to the down part. I also cut the fabric and the lining piece. I did the same thing for the back. I added ½ inch to all the sides that needed joining allowance, and the same thing to the sleeve as well. Now guys, it's time to sew this. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and sew the dart to the front piece. This is what I had after I was done sewing the dart to the front piece, guys. I sewed it to the actual fabric and as well the lining piece. So this is what you're going to have. Now go ahead and place this aside. I'm going to work on the cups. So I went ahead to remove my pattern paper. Now I'm going to sew the lining piece and the actual fabric of the cup together. So just place one of the lining piece and the actual fabric together. Make sure that you place them the right size facing each other. You're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew down this straight part, and you will do the same thing to the other cup. This is what I had after I was done sewing it, guys. You can see I joined the straight part. So now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take this to the sewing machine and make 2 loose stitches on it. You also do the same thing to this other part, 2 loose stitches that we'll be using to gather it. This is what I had after I was done making the 2 loose stitches, guys. You can see I have excess threads that I'm going to be pulling to give it the gather effect. So just go ahead and pull the threads in order to give it gather effect. So guys, after you have pulled it to an extent, you are going to go ahead and bring this piece. You're going to measure what you have on top here. I have 7.25 inches. I'm also going to measure the down part, and after I was done measuring it, I had 12 inches. So now I'm going to measure this part that I've gathered to make sure it is 7.25. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the threads at this other end to give it gather effects. So guys, after you are done pulling the threads, you're also going to go ahead and measure it to make sure that you have 12 inches, which is what you have in the pattern paper. So guys, after I was done measuring, I realized that it wasn't up to 12 inches, so I decided to just increase it and expand it a little bit. After you're done doing that, go ahead and do the same thing to the other cup. This is what I had after I was done making gathers on the 2 cups. I went ahead to use my hot iron to press it down. That is why they are looking like that. Now what I'm going to do is to bring my fabric. I'm going to be sewing the cups to the fabric just like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my pin to pin it together before I take it to the sewing machine. So just place it on the middle part like that and pin it all the way to the other end. So guys, after you're done doing that, this is what you're going to have it looking like. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and sew it down. Then I will do the same thing to the other cup. This is what I had after I was done sewing the 2 cups, guys. So this is how it looks like from the back. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the lining piece to it. So you're going to flip this to the back. You can see this is the front part of my line. You're going to turn it like this. You will place this middle part together and pin it down. Now you're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew it on it just like this all the way to the end. Did you see what I'm doing? So just sew it on it like that, and you will do the same thing to this other side. So just sew the lining and the actual fabric together. So guys, after you're done sewing, this is what you're going to have it looking like. You can see, you may not understand how it looks like now, but when I turn it to the front, you're going to understand. So when you flip it, guys, this is how it's going to look like. Look at where we sewed it. The sewing is not showing. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to join the hem part. I'm just going to flip it to the wrong side, put the cups inside. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew it down. This is what I had after I was done sewing it, guys. Now you're going to flip this to the right side and it's going to look like this. Now you're going to use your hot iron to just press this down. So guys, after you're done doing that, this is how you're going to have it looking like. Now the next thing is to work on this top part here. I'm going to bring my piece. I already cut out a piece of fabric I'll be using to do that. It is about 23 inches long and it is 1.25 inch wide. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip my fabric to the wrong side. I will be sewing it on the neck area. You're sewing it on the wrong side, guys, so go ahead and do the same thing to this other one. This is what I had after I was done doing that. You can see now my fabric is flipped to the right side. Now you're going to turn it, use this piece of fabric to turn it and fold it and top stitch on it. Did you see? Make sure that your stitches are straight, guys, because you are sewing on the right side. Okay, then go ahead and fold the remaining rope all the way to the end and do the same thing to the other one. This is what I had after I was done doing that, guys. Can you see? Now I'm just going to go ahead and tie this up. Okay, and you're going to have it looking like this. Now I'm going to place this aside, then we'll work on the back pieces. These are the back pieces, guys. I already went ahead to rule out the dart. Now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I will sew the dart on it. Do the same thing to the other side and the same thing to the lining pieces. And after you're done doing that, you're going to be sewing the actual fabric and the lining pieces together. So just take one of the actual fabric and one of the lining pieces, place them the right sides facing each other. You're going to go ahead and sew the neck, sew this side, and also sew the hem part. You're also going to do the same thing to the other one, so just sew it like that. This is what I had after I was done sewing it, guys. This is how it's going to look like. Now I'm going to go ahead and fix my zipper. Okay, this is what you're going to have after you're done fixing your zipper. Now the front and the back pieces are ready. I'm going to place them aside, then we'll work on the sleeve. So guys, the sleeve has elastic band at the middle area. It also has at the down parts and also on top. So for the elastic band that is going to be at the middle area and at the down part, I'm going to measure. Before I measure, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hem this part. Then you're going to go ahead and measure up 4 inches and make a mark there. So just make a mark there. So from that mark, you're going to go up by about 8 or 9 inches. So because of the length of the sleeve, I'm going to be going up by 9 inches and I will make another mark there. So go ahead now and open this up and rule a straight line from one dot to the other. So just place your ruler and rule a straight line just the way you see me doing it. Then you're going to do the same thing to this other side. So guys, after ruling that line, so this is what you're going to have. So for the top part, because of the fact that it's a bit curvy, I'm going to be using this piece of fabric to sew on it. I have it to be 1.5 inch wide and it is long enough to go around this area. So you're going to place it on this part here and you're just going to sew it all the way to this other part and you will end there. This is what I had after I was done doing that, guys. You can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to put my elastic band. Now I'm going to bring my elastic band. I'm going to be cutting the one that I'll be putting on top using 10 inches. So just go ahead and measure 10 inches and cut it out. You're going to use it to cut another one. So you're going to be cutting 2 for the 2 sleeves. Okay, now I went ahead to measure around my ankle and what I had was 10 inches, but I'll be cutting out my elastic band with 11 inches. The extra 1 inch is going to be for the sewing allowance, so that's going to be for the ankle area. That means the second part. Now the third part, I measured around my wrist and I had 8 inches, but I went ahead to cut the elastic band out with 9 inches, extra 1 inch for the sewing allowance. Now I'm going to use my safety pin to put my elastic band through this part, the top part here. So just go ahead and use your safety pin to put your elastic band through it. When you get to the end here, you're going to pin it down just like that. Then you continue to put your elastic band through it all the way to the other end. When you get to the other end, you're as well going to remove your safety pin and pin it down with a pin. Now you're going to take this to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch it on these two ends. After you're done doing that, guys, the next thing is you're going to use your machine to sew the elastic band on this part. You are going to stretch it and sew on it. Then you're going to do the same thing to the down part. Put your elastic band, stretch it while you sew on it. Then you're going to do the same thing to the other sleeve. So guys, this is it. This is what I had after I was done sewing it. Can you see? So this is how it's going to look like. This is the effect you're going to have. I also went ahead to do the same thing to the other sleeve. Now I'm going to be attaching the sleeve to the body. So just bring your front piece like this. You're going to place the sleeve on the armhole and sew it down. Make sure that you are placing your fabric the right size facing each other. Then you're going to do the same thing to the back piece. Sew the armhole down and as well this other one. This is what I had after I was done joining the armholes. You can see I've attached the sleeve to the body. Now I'm going to go ahead and join the sides. So just bring your fabric like this. You're going to place the sleeves together. You're going to go ahead and join it just like this. Then when you get to the body, you're going to make sure you take your body measurements before you join it. Then you're going to do the same thing to this other side. This is what I had after I was done joining the sides, guys. So this is how the top came out. Can you see how pretty this is looking? So this is it, guys. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. Let me know if this is a tutorial you're going to be trying out. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next one.